Hello, everybody. My name is Gonzalez, and I'm going to be talking about genetic modifications and the um, genetic modification of organisms, or GMOs for short, and how it should be changed in today's society, and the pros and cons that go into genetic modification. So, my main argument is that we should limit the amount of genetically modified organisms that we can create in order to preserve genetic diversity. And I do feel like, in an overall sense, genetic modification is a good field of study for society and um, for the planet in general. So I'm going to start with the ethical concerns behind genome editing. It has been a long argued debate that genome editing should be completely stopped. However, there have been many pros towards genome editing. Um, the coronavirus vaccine required some form of genetically modified organism to create, um, as well as many of the foods and crops that we eat today have been genetically modified in order to decrease the use of pesticides, which is overall just better for our health. Pesticides can cause major issues if ingested, as well as messing with soil, and nearby water sources can be contaminated by the use of pesticides. Um, And this was all I found. This was all according to the Biomedical Odyssey at Johns Hopkins University. So GMO crops and reasons that they have changed and impacted the um the overall agricultural industry. One example, according to the FDA, funded by the government, a GMO eggplant that is resistant to insects has been made available to farmers in Bangladesh since 2014. So this just sort of goes back to farmers not needing to use pesticides and overall creating um, a healthier and more safe eggplant, as opposed to using pesticides and infecting nearby soil and water sources. So, what have been the main issues in the past? So, back in the 1960s, there was a certain banana variant known as the Gross Mitchell banana. This was found, or this information was found by Stephanie Carey in a blog that she posted in 2022. So basically, this Gross Mitchell banana was the number one export in the planet on the planet. It was a genetically modified banana that became sort of the go-to for farmers around the world due to how easy it was to grow, and the accessibility for it to be transported long distances. However, it went extinct in 1967 due to a the tropical race 4 disease, which completely wiped out the plant and made it unable to grow anywhere on the planet. So basically, the tropical race 4 disease was a fungal infection that infected the dirt, the soil, and made it to where the banana plant or the banana tree was unable to grow. Luckily, scientists were able to salvage some different variants of bananas, such as the Cavendish, which is the banana we all know and love today. This has become the main export worldwide, as it is a very similar substitute to the Gross Mitchell. It's been genetically modified for many reasons. It for one, yeah, it doesn't require many pesticides, very resistant towards insects, as well as it has also been genetically modified for taste and enhanced nutrient absorption in humans. However, we are now facing a similar issue that we did in the 60s, to where the banana that we know and love today, the Cavendish, may be going extinct due to scientists not creating a genetically diverse banana in which there is differences in the DNA makeup. So, to summarize what I just spoke about there, without genetic diversity, we can see extinction level events um, that can be caused very easily. When one disease is able to infect a certain type of banana, it'll take them all out. However, when organisms are not genetically modified to all have the same genetic makeup, and they're not basically clones, many of them will be resistant to the disease, and the overall organism can still thrive long term, despite the heavy losses that were endured. This can sort of be comparable to like the plague back in Europe, where it wiped out about a third of the world population. Hypothetically, if we were all genetically modified to have a similar DNA makeup, we would have probably gone extinct. So genetic diversity is very important in that sense. That was all published by Harvard's Journal of Medicine. And so how has genetic modification been limited and touched up on today? And the real answer for that is, throughout extensive research, I have found there are no real limitations on genetic modification. It is an increasingly growing field of study, and I have found that almost no nation on the planet has outlawed it or put any type of limitation on what can be done with genetic modification, besides the use of certain test subjects. But that was in place prior to this form of study. My personal method in which to solve the current issue regarding the GMO research type, and I would implement a first of all, I would have it be funded entirely by the government, so they are not relying on pay based on a capitalistic standpoint, because when that is in place, farmers will all flock to the most profitable crop. And when that is the case, you have very little genetic diversity in what is grown, and leaves you at risk for a certain crop, such as the Cavendish or the Gross Mitchell banana, to go completely extinct. So if it were government funded, and they paid those working in the agricultural industry to grow different variants of we'll just use bananas for an example, then we would never have the worry of them going extinct. Also, I feel like scientists should be limited to the amount of subjects that they can genetically modify. I feel like about half of every organism should be left completely untouched by man and just left to thrive in the natural world. This will create about half of the organism plant to have a complete freedom towards genetic diversity as generations go on, while the other half can be manipulated as much by science and certain discoveries. So in conclusion, genetic GMOs have held a vital part of have played a vital role in certain research as well as the agricultural industry and has proved to be a very important field of study. However, it needs to be limited in the near future to preserve genetic diversity, or else dire consequences can follow, as we've seen in recent years. Thank you for listening to my speech.